In this video, we're going to show you how to do a physical inventory, how to do an audit, and a reconciliation. So first thing you're going to do is click on the Inventory tab, go under either Retail or Consumables, depending on which category you're doing, and click on Audit. It's essentially the same process for either. So this is going to be my list of SKUs that I need to check what quantity I have available in the shop. I'm going to hit Export to Excel. That'll pop up on the bottom. Open that up. Hit yes. Click on Enable Editing. And then you're going to want to print this out. This is basically the count sheet that you're going to use to go around and physically count the products in your shop. It is sorted by category, so that's helpful as you're looking for an item to know that it's sorted that way, depending on the item that you're looking for. So I'm going to go to File, Print. And then the settings on this automatically cuts off part of the page. So go down to this scaling section and do Fit All Columns on one page. That will make sure you're not printing out 35 pages when you only need 5. And then you hit Print. Not going to print in this situation since it's just an example. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go around your shop and physically count everything that you have available. And the best way to do this is to count by section. Don't start with, okay, this SKU, how many do I have of this available in the shop? If you have something in multiple locations like full size 1, 2, 3 or travel 1, 2, 3 or clay spray, it's likely you have that in multiple locations and you're likely to forget to count one of those locations. So the best way is to just do it by section, left to right. Find the item on the page, put in the quantity. If you have more of that item in a different section, just do a plus and then do the math at the end for how many you physically have on hand. Once you've filled in the quantities that you have of all these items, anything that you have a blank space for, go back and double check and say, do I actually have 0 of this item or did I just miss it? That will help you make sure that you're catching everything the first time around. Once you've done your physical count, you go back to Zenoti. And on this audit screen, you're going to plug in the quantity that you counted into this quantity in stores column. Don't put anything in the quantity on floor. We only use the store section for inventory. So I'm going to plug in some quantities here. Let's say I counted 18 of this item. I didn't have any of this item, so I'm going to put in 0. That helps make sure that you're actively looking at this item and saying I have 0 rather than leaving it blank. For this one, I have 3. And for this one, I have 0. I'm going to stop there, but in most cases, you would go all the way down. You'd fill in all of your quantities. Hit Save Changes often as you're jumping between these different pages because there are a lot of SKUs. That ensures that you've saved everything that you've done and you don't lose your work. It's also helpful to keep your physical count sheet on hand even after you've submitted your audit, just so that if you do need to go back and look at it, you have that as a reference and you don't lose all of your work. Once you're done, you're going to hit Submit Audit. It's going to say, are you sure you want to submit the audit? You want to say OK. It's going to say there are some orders which are not delivered. And you want to click OK to submit the audit or cancel to go to the list of orders page. If you have any orders that are physically in your shop that you have not received in the system, now is the time to do it. You would hit cancel, go back, receive those orders, and then come back and finish your audit. It's not going to affect anything that you've plugged in because you've plugged in what you physically counted. It will just change the number in the system to what you should have on hand. So I'm going to hit OK. There's some changes that haven't been saved. Just hit OK to save those changes. And then lastly, it'll say there are some products with 0 quantities because I didn't fill these all in. That's OK. So this is the part that can get a little scary. If you haven't filled in a quantity for every single item, this screen will pop up with these auditing options. Again, this is why we recommend putting in 0 if you have 0, so that you can make sure that you're actively engaged with every single SKU. If this screen does pop up, it means that I've only put in quantities for 4 products, and I have 244 products that I haven't put anything in for. So in that case, I'm going to select this middle option, which is to use the projected stock values for unaudited products. Negative stock would be maintained. So anything that I didn't count, it's going to basically audit to the quantity that the system thinks that I should have on hand. I'm going to hit Save and Submit. Hit OK. My audit has been successfully saved. So now part 2, which you should do right away, is to reconcile. So I'm going to go over here under Retail, I'm going to reconcile. So this part is where you get a chance to see where you might have made some mistakes. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom. And I find it's easier to do this if you look at just 10 on each page. So you're going to want to scroll over to the far right. So this is going to show you in this current column, this is what the system thinks I should have with this item, which is 20, based on my receipts, based on what I've sold, based on any activity I've done previously. Audited is the quantity that I've now put into the system. I said there were 18. So this is going to show me that I'm missing 2 units. If you actually are missing units, you want to leave it as is. If there are only 18, I'm going to leave it at 18. If I go back and look at that item and say, okay, maybe I actually do have 20, recount it, oops, I miscounted, I do have 20, I can make that change here and change that to 20 in the reconciliation. If, for example, it is actually 18 and I know what happened, there's a notes section over here where you can put in, oh, we had to adjust 2 out because they were damaged. You can put that information in there, so that gives us an idea of what actually happened when you did your inventory. Anything that comes up as red means it's missing. Anything that comes up as green means there's additional inventory that shouldn't be in the system. So what you want to do once you're in your reconciliation screen is go through and look at all the items that have any discrepancies in red or green so that you can double check and make sure those units are correct. This is where we find a lot of people are missing mistakes on their inventory, and then we have to go back and fix it later. So it's much easier to do it when you're in the middle of the reconciliation. Same thing with the audit. Hit save changes a lot as you're switching to different pages so you don't lose any of your work. Once you're done, I'm actually going to change this back to 20 because that's the quantity that's there. I'll hit save. It'll again ask you about the products of 0 quantities. That's fine. Hit OK. Hit OK. This will now change my unaccounted. It's all 0 because I've now accounted for what I should have. I've fixed what I messed up in my audit, which is OK. Then I'm going to hit reconcile now. Are you sure when to submit? Hit OK. Hit OK if there are no orders delivered, battery's low. 0 quantities, that's OK. I'm now done with my inventory.